Good evening. Let me tell you a tale of ghostly revenge. But
First night nerves were stretched taut as guitar strings as the players waited for the curtain to rise. The town council had spent money on refurbishing the old theatre built at the turn of the century, which has slowly become run down and tawdry since the advent of cinema and latterly television. As a seaside holiday resort with dwindling numbers of visitors, a new attraction was needed to give a boost to the local economy. Of course, the old superstitions had become prevalent again during rehearsals and were even now observed with a certain fanaticism. It was true that the leading lady's understudy had been taken off with a severe peritonitis following a burst appendix, and there had been endless trouble with the lighting. It was also rumoured that the ghost, seen many times in the old days before some accident or tragedy, was treading the boards again. But now all was ready. Some first-nighters were gathered in the bar and in foyer, others in their seats, chattering amiably. The bell rang, and 5 minutes later the audience held its collective breath. It was well into the play when the ghost did it. It was there on stage. The players didn't see it, but the audience did. It walked on from the wings to front centre stage, turned to the audience, and with a sardonic smile, bowed low as if acknowledging applause, and vanished. Screams and shouts stopped the show. It made the papers, and even miles away it was a byline in the big city tabloids. John Fitzwilliams, celebrated ghost hunter, who had uncovered more fraudulent mediums than most, was scraping the last of the shaving lather from his chin when his wife called.
"There's another ghost for you to investigate. It's just stopped the first night at a theatre."
John digested that, and during his breakfast read the article.
This one is different. Where's the profit in something as stupid as that?
Some nut, maybe?
No, the audience saw it appear and then vanish. The players didn't see it at all. This one I must look into. It could be very interesting.
Later that day, he was on the motorway heading west to the coast and the town that he felt needed his special abilities. The boot held an assortment of cameras, both still and video, trip switches, lighting tripods, voice and sound recorders. No sleight of hand was going to get past him. Someone was going to be uncovered. As he sped along, he murmured aloud,
This one will top all my successes. But where is the profit in this? Why create such a panic and close the theatre? Who would benefit? Maybe, just maybe, this time there is a ghost, a real one, and I will be the one to find it.
It was evening when he pulled into the car park of the motel.
it had been a hard, long drive, and he was tired. He checked in and went to his room. After an evening meal and a bottle of wine, he was relaxed and went up to his room.
He called home, showered, but sleep was a while taking him. When it did, he was soon awoken by the feeling that there was someone in the room. It was cold, and he shivered. Reaching out, he switched on the bedside lamp. Shadows fled into the corners. He looked about, but there was nothing. The next day was spent talking with as many people who had been into the theatre that night as possible. The tale was identical in every detail. His last contact was the under-manager, who had set up his video camera to record the performance. They sat in his office and studied the tape. The audience quieted as the lights dimmed and the curtains rose. Actors strutted and postured, their work and actions faithfully recorded. Shouts and screams erupted from the audience. The actors froze in tableau. There amongst the players' faces, turned towards the audience, was the transparent features of one extra that should not have been there. The under-manager stabbed the freeze frame button.
That one wasn't there before. I've never seen him either. Needs looking into. Will it be all right if I stay here overnight?
All night? I'd rather you than me.
I'll set up my equipment, and if there is something there, I'll find it. But if it's a scam, then I'll find that out too. Darkness was falling when John was satisfied that all the equipment was working properly. He sat in a box to the right of the stage. The seat comfortable, he put his feet up on the rail and waited, letting his mind wander. At 3 a.m., the first of the alarms sounded faintly. He snapped into readiness. Looking over the edge of the box, he could see the whole stage set out about 15 feet below. There, centre stage, a ball of light appeared. As John watched, the figure of a man solidified.
Good evening, John Fitzwilliams. Nothing to say? No? Then let me show you a one-act play. Look well, John Fitzwilliams. Remember the Fitzroys, those poor relations. See Hope, the last and best of them, the one who loved unwisely. She loved your grandfather, even though he was a cousin, so marriage was impossible. He seduced her, and now you see the result. When he learned of the child, he deserted her. I would have been the child so cruelly murdered, yes, murdered by your grandfather. I would have continued the line for untold generations. But now, you are the last of your line. So it is fitting that it ends here. I have watched your misguided efforts to uncover fraud and prove the ghosts do not exist. How do you feel now, cousin? Are you feeling a pressure in your head as your mind tries to come to terms with what you are seeing? All I needed was a way to get you to come here. Your obsession did that. I needed witnesses to tempt you, and the audience was perfect that evening. Tomorrow, they will find you here.
Oh, oh, oh.
Now she screamed one last time, then fell back, limp and lifeless. John looked on, appalled. It seemed to grow and grow. The face came nearer and nearer until they were eye to eye. John felt the stabbing pain in his head, then oblivion. Next morning, they unlocked the doors. There was no reply. His body, cold and contorted, the eyes wide, the face horror-stricken, lay on the floor of the box. All the recording devices showed nothing at all. The manager said to no one in particular,
Maybe he did find the ghost after all. Ha 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 ha.